Welcome to CFWE Live Talk. We have with us today our host, Thumper Chapman. I'm the co-host, Mr. Dirty. And today our guest is...
Billy McCloud.
There you go.
You notice he forgot who he was, right?
I forgot who I am half the
As
time.
many times we've done this, he forgot who he was.
I forget who I am half
And then our cousin, you know what? Mr. T-Rex is going to be my host for now on. Yeah.
Before we get started, I'd like to let you know that the views that are spoken on our show today are not necessarily the views of CFWE or any of its affiliates. We always do that just in case, so we cover our ground.
That's our big word for today is affiliates.
Affiliates.
What's that?
I don't know. Something they say you have to say.
Now, don't ask me to spell it. You do, but don't ask me.
I'm from New Matilda. We don't know. So.
Anytime I sit there and said, hey, you know, we're going to go get paid for this, they said, you got to put affiliates in it. I was like, okay, you tell me what Sal said.
See, you said it right 3 times already.
Affiliates. I'll look it up in the dictionary and let you know what it means.
It means people that are associated with you.
It's I figure it's some political thing.
Can you tell I'm the educated one, right?
I figure it's a political thing.
I don't wear the suit and they call me Mr. Dirty for nothing.
Right.
I guess I'll go as Mr. Clean for now.
He's got to do.
I have to do.
Well, when he actually decides to be nice, that's what we used to call him was Mr. Clean. But then we found out Mr. Clean was copyrighted.
Yeah.
Mr. Dirty's not.
He had to go Mr. Dirty.
You know, I can be Mr. Dirty.
So for now, I'll bring a bottle of Mr. Clean out so we can clean him up a little
There
bit.
we go.
I'm going to scribble over the Mr. Clean and write Dirty over top.
Exactly.
There you go.
Okay, I guess it's been, over a year now since we've did a live talk with him. And to do a recap, we had talked along a while back, and it's been a minute, about, you know, Billy had went to prison for drugs. Now,
Yep.
I didn't realize Billy had worked with us way back when he was a young guy. I had to actually go back to the records, and Billy said, that was me. I was like, that was you?
Yeah. About 9 inches shorter right there.
He said, well, that was before I was doing
Probably
the drugs.
didn't have all the beards.
No,
Oh, yeah, he was young. And I think that was before you was married, right?
Yes, sir. Actually, I proposed to my wife at one of the wrestling events.
Oh, wow, see? That tells you how we are.
Strange things happen at wrestling shows, as you can tell. You go single and come back married.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You just don't go without a child and come back with something.
I still ask Miss Tanya, I said, why'd you marry me? You knew what I was. You're going to complain about it, but you married me still, and you still complain. So anyway, so we had found out that Billy had worked with us way back in the day, and it was a total different guy back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And then me and Billy had got to talking about, you know, he got real heavy in the drugs,
Yep.
and he had wound up going to jail. And you had spent how long in jail?
3 years. It was a total of 1,014 days, but who's counting?
Well, what led up to the fact that you had to go to jail?
My constant drug use. Of course, my drug of choice back then was cocaine.
Okay.
Of course, I didn't care who was in my path. I did what I had to do to get my drugs, and fortunately, that led to my arrest, which then led to incarceration. But I mean, like I tell everybody, it was the worst thing I've ever experienced, but it was by far the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Exactly. Got you clean.
Yeah, it didn't turn my life around. I mean, I'm not the young punk walking to the locker rooms, just, hi, yep, nice to see you. I go in and I show respect to the veterans, the rookies, anybody coming into the company. I try to do what I can to help guide them and also still follow.
So you kind of mentor like everybody else mentored you.
Yeah, you can say that.
That's hard, ain't it? That's hard sometimes.
I know back in the day there used to be a lot of wrestlers that used to have issues, the same kind of habits. But I mean, we haven't dealt with any in years ourselves.
No.
First of all, we don't even allow that kind of thing.
Actually, I think a lot of them were scared to even say if they did because I used to rule with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, if you walked in my locker and didn't show respect, I was probably going to send you to the ER.
We run a clean show and a clean
So I've gotten a lot nicer than what I used to be. But, you know, I grew up with the old school cats, you know, like, with the mercenaries, guys like Ron Bass. I mean, I grew up with the old school cats. So, I mean, you when
Way
you
back
walked
there.
in the locker room, they didn't demand respect. They didn't accept no less. I mean,
Exactly.
if you didn't shake hands, I remember I walked in there with up underneath Al Hardman back when I was young.
He was a tough one.
Oh no, he was lightweight. That's a whole different story on that one.
Him and his not giving a goat turd. Two
Oh
goat
yeah.
turds.
And he walked in and he called me an old dumb redneck. He said, "You'll never be nothing as pro wrestling." I said, "I will own the wrestling world." And at the end of it, he shook my hand because I was last man standing.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I didn't think a dumb country boy would actually make it." He said, "But you know more about this business than you let on." And he really never knew my past. He never knew I'd worked with Ron Bass and guys like that.
Yeah.
He always thought I was just a dumb kid who walked in off the street.
And for those of you that don't know, we lost Al Hardman a few years back.
Yeah.
Wonderful wrestler, wonderful promoter. He gave in to cancer, and it kind of took his life.
Yeah.
But we want to show him a little respect today, and say we really respect everything he did. He brought wrestling a long ways, right along with Thumper Chapman. So
And if I was
They're
here,
all
he'd
famous.
tell you he ain't worth 2 knots of goat crap.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was his famous last word.
His famous last words.
So anyway, we got you. All right, you're in jail.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like being in jail?
Well, when you have to sleep at night with your work boots on you have to be ready at all times, watching your own back. And prison is a place where your eyes are opened and you realize who's really going to be there for you. Of course, my family, they were my number one support while I was locked up. My mother especially, she always came and saw me. My wife, she would came and saw me. My children, my father, brother, sister, everybody who was a true friend, who actually knew me, I should say, came and saw me. I mean,
Now I got to ask this question, and if it's too personal, I apologize. I know you had one kid, right?
3.
No, I'm talking about back then.
I had 3, but only 2 I knew of.
Oh, wow.
Knew about.
Okay.
Oh, we've
So-
all been there.
So you're married. You got 3 kids. You got 1 that you knew about.
2 I knew about.
Oh, two that you knew about. Okay. And you're the drugs are controlling you, and this is we're all dads. Okay.
Mhm.
Myself as a dad, I can't ever see nothing getting in the way of my wife and my kids. Yeah. And to that time when you were in drugs, actually I'm trying to figure out how to word this. How or what, in the state of mind that you were in, did you label your wife and kids and drugs?
No, then drugs, that's all that mattered.
And why?
Because they're addicting.
So,
I mean-
so you have a wife and kids, but you were more in love with the drugs than your wife and kids?
I wasn't more in love with it. I just seeked it more than I did my children and my
Well,
wife.
Wouldn't you say that maybe your dependency made you have more of a desire, even though you loved your wife and kids, made you have more of a desire to have turn? You didn't really have a choice, that the drugs just drew you towards them automatically.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, being a drug addict, which I'm no longer a drug addict.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
God about that. But while I was being a drug addict, I mean, anybody who's been through recovery or anybody who's going through recovery knows what I felt. I felt nobody gave a crap about Billy McCloud. I was a lone ranger, as you would put it, but more of an outlaw. And it was just something I wanted to do. My family didn't matter to me at the time. It was the drugs that came first. I loved my family more, but no matter what, the drugs always called me back to it.
That always won. Yeah.
Exactly. And
I remember when I was an alcoholic. And I should say you're always an alcoholic.
Yep. Once an addict,
Yeah.
always an addict.
But after 23 years, it doesn't bother me as much as it used to.
Exactly.
Every once in a while it sneaks up on me,
No.
but I don't give into it.
I'm older than Thumper and Billy here, and
Combined.
well, yeah. Unless you're like
He left his cane outside. So,
And I mean, I know I've dealt with alcoholism and drug addiction as well, so I mean, I kind of, this program means a lot to me today too, because I mean, I know that getting out of it was the best thing I ever did, and
Absolutely.
finding the lady that was the love of my life and children, definitely, you know, so. How has it changed your life since you've given it all up?
Definitely for the better. I've gone from having 3 children to 5 children. I got an incredible, amazing wife. I mean,
wait a minute, didn't you say 5 kids?
I have 5 kids now.
Do you not know what TV is?
Well, that's
TV.
probably what got him in trouble. There wasn't nothing on TV.
There never is.
Did your wife hide a remote from you? Is that
I mean, for years, my parents always told me, you know what causes that, right? Well, since I moved out of Umatilla and started drinking the city water, I haven't had no more.
I know what it is. It was memory loss from the drug addiction. That's what it was. He couldn't remember what caused it.
So wait a minute, was it TV or well? Oh,
Well, I would say cold winters, but as we're in Florida, and it's really no such thing as cold winters
We'll
here.
put it this way, going 3 years in the Department of Corrections without your wife being around, you got a lot of time you have to make up.
I mean, I could see where getting busy would be a part of that.
Yeah. First 2 days, no sleep.
Now, have you
Just felt that good being home.
have you and your wife ever talked about what both of you went through during that time?
Yeah, we've talked about it on many occasions, and of course, every couple at one time in their relationship, they have a downward spiral in their relationship, and my wife had hers, I had mine. Of course, I blame myself for it, because none of this would have ever happened if I would have just stayed off the drugs, stayed on the straight and narrow road, and never would have went away. I never would have gone away I wasn't there, but I still pushed her away.
I can see your point, and because I can kind of see, and this is how I see it, you were gone 3 years, your wife's there by herself raising 3 kids.
2
Yeah.
at the time, because
sorry,
one
2.
we didn't know about.
Too many shots in the head, that's what it is. 2 kids,
But
not knowing when you're going to get out, not knowing what you're doing, you're not knowing what she's doing, and it had to be nerve-wracking because you're in a little, 6x8 cell, and that's the deluxe model.
That's the upgrade.
She's at home, she's have to supply for the kids, for herself, have to worry about what you're going through, watching you go through withdrawals, remember what was going through her mind, when she's seen you, I'm sure she's seen you strung out several times,
Yeah. Too many.
Yeah, and I know that had to be hard, Miss Tanya didn't ever see me get drunk because, I had to quit long before we got married, and I've talked to several, wives that's been through that with their husbands, and they always tell me the same thing. It's a loneliness because you see your husband, he's like a shell. He's not the same man that you married because something else controls him.
Right.
Yeah, and they can't reach you because it's like you're on another planet, and they want to help, but they don't know how to help.
Exactly.
So, and I don't know if that was like that for y'all.
I mean, it's like that for anybody who spends time in the Department of Corrections. I mean, even though, I myself even said it, I would get on the phone and talk to them many times, get on to them saying, well, you're not the one doing time. I'm in here. And I never really realized it until a couple years after being out. They were doing time. Not like I was.
Yeah.
But time is doing time.
Yeah, I can see
Whether
that.
you're incarcerated or you're out, because when you're incarcerated, unfortunately, it's
all
kind of
you
like
have.
them being in prison because they can't be close to you like they want to be.
Yeah, because I can see that. It's kind of like they're going in prison.
You can't go
she's
give
back
them
there
a hug.
shaking his head.
You
yes,
can't go
you're
give them the
right.
hug and the kiss and stuff like that, because most of the time I have a stepson who has probably been in prison in and off and on since he was 18. So
I thought he was there 16.
18.
Oh,
And,
okay.
And the thing about it is there's no touching.
Yeah.
No touching. You know, they don't want no bodily contact
Wait,
whatsoever.
what did your wife? I mean, what did your wife go through? I mean, she sit there, she comes up and see you. You said that, and I'm sure she brought the kids to see you too.
Yes, yes.
Okay, you're sitting here around the table. You're sitting on one side. She's sitting on one side. The kids are there. I mean, I'm sure the kids want to come up and hug daddy.
Oh, they do allow that. When you first get there and and when you leave, you're allowed one hug and kiss per member. The man who tells us to turn our phones off.
Didn't turn his phone off.
My bad.
Mine's sitting in my pocket, buzzing away, by the way, and I'm not looking at it. It bothers me.
And believe it or not,
every time it buzzes, I smile.
Yeah, believe it or not, it was actually my massage therapist. Believe it or not.
That makes you wonder where the phone is, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In my pocket.
No, I mean it was actually my massage therapist calling me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's her name? No.
Tina.
Mine's called Vibrate. Yeah.
It's fine. And she's actually a masseuse. She's actually phenomenal.
Where did you learn that $100 word?
My wife.
How long did you have to stand in front of the mirror and practice that word?
We won't go there. But she was phenomenal. When I went down and seen her, you know, I guess I'm a lot like our dad was, because once we pick one person, I'm gonna stay with that person. And she's been my masseuse for 5 months now, so you know, so I stick with her. Yeah.
It sounds like something you put in your hair. Masseuse. I got to put some masseuse in my hair.
Well, I tell you what, she's a heck of a woman, because she can sit there and massage me for 2 hours and not complain. I thought that was a perfect
She's
woman.
getting
But
paid. Hey, thumper, you can go pay about $100 and any hooker out there will massage you for however long you want.
Hey, have you ever been to a masseuse?
I mean, think about that. Am I wrong, Billy? I mean, you know.
Hey, my wife's in the same room. I'm not saying nothing.
Okay, pick on Thumper because he's always got a masseuse.
I mean, $100 and you're set to go. I mean, you know.
Yeah, my wife would massage me for 2 hours, but after 5 minutes, I'm done.
Not even for $100.
I wouldn't either. That's why I pay this.
I don't know. She might for $100. She's married to him.
I don't know. This one here, I can actually go to sleep and wake up, and she's still rubbing my neck and my back. Hey, she's all right.
Well, you might be sleeping enough you don't know it. She just stops.
Stop
You start waking up. She's like, again.
Oh, I got you, honey. I got you.
Man, baby, my hands are so tired from massaging you.
I mean, I still think she's a bionic woman, because for 2 hours, I mean, I'm sitting there, my hands getting kind of tired, I'm just watching her. So, yeah. But, all right, well, that was Joking Day. Thumper's masseuse.
Hey, and for all you kids out there,
jealous.
all you kids out there, you've learned a new word today. It's called masseuse.
And no,
That's
it's
right on up there with affiliates.
But masseuse does not mean prostitution. Okay, two totally different words.
Or it doesn't mean mentor either, by the way.
I got your wife laughing. So
We'll
anyway,
camera one of these days.
so back to our topic, so we don't get sidetracked. Okay,
That's not hard.
what was it like? I mean, I know it's got to be hard because when you're in, and I've heard this before, you're sitting there with visitation day, you're like all excited because your wife's coming up, your kid's coming up. You see somebody else and a bunch of jerk guards and a bunch of hardcore guys that would rather stab you and beat you up than look at you.
Or rape you.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
I mean, let's face it, it's there.
Yeah.
It's in prison.
And your wife comes up, and I know she's got to be having a heart because she wants to hug your neck, but she can't touch you.
It didn't matter when me and my wife saw each other. That rule was broken.
I started saying, how did they take that?
Most of the time, they don't say anything.
Yeah, they say, hey, knock it off. I'm like, all right. So they sit down. They turn them back around. All right, come here, baby.
Oh, yeah, because I imagine, you know.
And for the most part, as long as your hands don't disappear, they don't say anything.
Yep.
Yeah, because I mean, I can imagine, when y'all saw each other, because it's what, once a week?
Yep.
Yeah,
well,
I mean.
Well, I was a couple hours away, so they were coming down every other week.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so that's even worse.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, my first time I saw my oldest daughter walk was at visitation.
Oh, wow.
I don't even think we asked, how long were you incarcerated, Billy?
3 years.
3 years. That's a long time.
Originally sentenced to 5, but I did a lot of law work.
Has she ever told you when you was in there what it was like day to day for her?
I didn't have to. She didn't have to tell me about it. She told me every day. We wrote each other every day. We talked to each other every day. I knew what she was going through, and that's what made my time so much harder. I knew how hard it was for her.
Maybe it's the talk show host or what it is in me, but and I'm not going to say, I'm not saying this is the reason why he says this at the beginning. I figured that much out. I have found out that a lot of time women will tell you one thing, but they're thinking something else. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with her.
I mean,
we knew each other way too well. Yeah. She if I lie, she knows.
Okay.
She knows in a heartbeat.
What I'm saying is, let me go back. Whenever y'all would talk, okay, then after you're out, you're cleaned up, you know, everything's different. Did she ever look at you and say, well, honey, you know, whenever I went through this, you know, it was worse than what I told you?
Oh, yeah. Like, there was some times where when she was struggling so bad, there was literally times where she would go 2, maybe 3 days at a time without eating.
Oh, wow.
Just so my daughter had plenty to eat.
Oh, wow. Sound like us when we were growing up. Yeah.
Kind of makes you feel bad when you hear all that, doesn't it?
Yeah. It kind of gives you a new extra.
And that's why you don't see no straws going on my nose. You don't see no pills going on. I don't take Aleve or Tylenol or ibuprofen because of my old drug addict days.
Now, does that sound, now, okay, I know you. I know how you work, you know. I mean, you're probably one of the hardest working guys I know.
No, I appreciate it.
Do you think that's the reason why you work so hard now, because of knowing what your wife and kids went through? I mean, what I'm trying to say is that you work so hard now because you will never let your wife and kids go through that again where she's went 2 or 3 days without eating?
I have done told my family, I promised my dad on his deathbed I won't be going back unless I absolutely have to. And the only way I will is if something involves my children.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Then the deal's off the table.
I mean, when you were in there, did you like look in the mirror and say, look, you know, I'm in here, she's out there struggling, my wife will not suffer again once I step out?
Every day.
Well, wouldn't you attribute a lot of everything to with you and your wife, you know,
that's kind of
because I do know, Billy, that a lot of times that because of imprisonment and stuff, it causes a strain on the marriage. But wouldn't you say your communication is what kept you guys together? I mean, you know, you stayed on communication with each other. I mean, you visited, of course, but the letters. I mean, it felt like you were attached to the outside world, even though you couldn't be with her.
Absolutely. I mean, she sent me pictures at least once every 2 weeks of at least her and my daughter, my son. I mean,
and I imagine that was worse when they'd send you pictures.
Oh, watching them grow up through pictures. I mean, my daughter. I mean, I was locked up when she was born, and I didn't even get when I was in rehab. That's when I came home and my daughter started becoming to know me better. I got kicked out with a week ago, and for 3 weeks I was home, and during that time she became daddy's girl.
I imagine that had to literally kill you inside, because here you have a daughter and she doesn't know who daddy is.
Yep.
There's this man that everybody says that is her daddy.
And you go by a picture.
And she's like, okay, that's my daddy, but it really has no meaning to it because you're not there day in, day out.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can look at a picture. I mean, you got Guardians of the Galaxy. Peter Quill thought David Hasselhoff was his dad for 30 years. Because he looked at the picture.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and but the good
it's a
Lord,
movie, but it's a good
but the
analogy.
good Lord
It's
gave
an
you
analogy,
the opportunity to actually reconnect with your family, and that's something that a lot of people don't get. They don't get a second chance. You know.
No.
Once they're done, it's over. It's gone.
And the good thing is you learned, I mean, from your experience, because most guys, after they get put in, you know, once or twice, they become pretty much, that's the only way of life they know is prison, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you had the ability to learn from your first mistake.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's great. I mean, that's awesome. I admire you for that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've been to jail quite a few times, but going to prison was the #1 wake-up call, you know.
Yeah.
On the verge of literally, I lost everything. I lost my freedom. I lost my family because, of course, when you're in prison, your family is there, but they're not there.
How did you get started on it?
On what's that?
The drugs.
being young and dumb. It started me and a couple of my buddies. We would always, smoke pot growing up when we were real young. And then senior year, I was hanging out with this kid. I won't even mention his name, but for years my parents told me, don't be around him. He's garbage. He's never going to amount to nothing. He's been to prison 9 times since he was 12.
Maybe he needs to tell the cameraman that, don't hang around people when your parents say don't hang around them.
Yeah, and it was just, started out us just smoking pot, and then it got to where one night, me, him, with a couple other random girls, and, hey, you want to try some of this? Like, yeah, sure, whatever, yeah, it ain't nothing. And I was up here at the football game. I mean, I was most valuable defensive player of the year. I was captain of the offensive line. I was a beast.
Yeah.
And I went from being here to rock bottom to being below that.
I started to say, you went from here to below here.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow.
And my life went downhill for a while, and of course being home, I had 2 more children with my wife, and a couple years back, been almost 2 years now, we actually found out I had another child out there, which he's my oldest.
Wow.
Yeah, he's 11, so I didn't meet him, even really know about him until he was 9.
Do you get to sing?
Every other weekend. It was every weekend, but certain parenting techniques that his grandparents don't like me using.
They don't like to spank?
They don't like the word discipline.
Yeah.
But like most young people in the generation these days. I mean, I'm young.
Discipline was when they took the hand and smacked your butt. That's
Yeah,
why we turned out like
yeah,
we
not
did.
send you in the corner, say you're in a 20-minute timeout,
Yeah,
and you sit there with your tablet.
I still believe in
Or just let you grow up and do anything you want to.
Exactly.
Talk like you want to, act like you want to.
Yeah, see, I'm like that. My kid.
Those are the kind of kids we
My
end
kid
up
ain't
with
gonna sit there
usually in
and back
school
on me.
shooting
Not gonna
somebody,
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, all 5 of my children, even my 3-year-old, he looks at me and says, "Yes, sir."
Oh
"No,
yeah, I've
sir."
seen you get after him. They like, yes sir.
They know.
Snap to attention.
They know I will be their best friend any moment they ask for, but I'm going to be.
Yeah, I've seen your wife get after him too a few times. They snap to attention pretty quick.
Well, Mama, she's in charge. Papa Bear will sit there and play and protect you, but Mama Bear, y'all on your own, cuz.
I bet when Mama snaps them fingers right, Papa Bear falls in line
Oh
too.
yeah, you can tell it's just yes ma'am, no ma'am.
It's okay, I used to do the same thing.
Papa gets at the end of the line and say, "Y'all go first."
Oh.
Let her wear herself out with y'all first. I'll go last. I'll get the
You're
leftovers.
trying to say she does Mike Tyson with him, for a little bit, and then after you come by, she's done wear out. She's done not bad no more.
Oh no, she don't do
And then you're good.
She don't do no Mike Tyson because she don't bite nobody's ears off now.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Not yet.
yeah. We still got 15 more years of them living under my house. And that's my youngest. That's my payback child.
Everybody gets a payback child.
Oh yeah, everybody does.
Yeah.
Mine happened to be my oldest.
Mine was my youngest, and I love my children to death, but if I would have had him first, I wouldn't have had no more.
Mine, I hit it twice. I got it twice. First off, I got it from my stepson, which is the oldest. Then I got it from my third son.
Oh, J. Merg,
Oh,
duh.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I got it double times. I said, look, I looked at God and said, listen, I know I was bad, but come on, one was bad enough. Why 2? Ain't nobody deserves 2.
Yeah, nobody deserves that.
Jay,
Well,
I love you, brother. I'm just kicking you.
technically I got 2 because I had a
That's all
stepson.
right. I'll take a dolphin.
Thumper will tell you. I technically got 2 because I had a stepson too that was my problem child, and Thumper will tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
Now my oldest daughter really didn't get a lot
We
of
about
trouble.
had to do Mike
She
Tyson
didn't
for
get
them.
in trouble per se like that, but she was one of those that would like to sneak out at night. And yes, I'm talking about you, Rachel. She'd like to slip out at night, and I'd be the one to be out there standing outside the window like this and saying, "Where you going?"
Then she'd get in a bad area. He'd holler, Thumper, can you go get her? I'll be right there. Because I'd walk in there and pull her. I didn't care. I was mean. Yeah. I've actually, believe it or not, I've gotten nicer over the years.
No.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't this
You never.
Back in the day, I was mean, wasn't I? I was really mean.
Look, you don't know him during his drug and alcohol days.
Oh, no. I would walk in a bar and pick a fight with the biggest dude, and we'd clean the bar out.
Well, see, at the wrestling event, you
Hey.
seemed like you're still a drug addict ass.
And it really wasn't his It really wasn't his fault that the dude was a girl.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, and she was just ugly and big.
So you imagine how I am. Yeah, you imagine how I am at shows, and that's me mellow. So you can imagine how I was back in the day when I was really into alcohol and drugs. So I was really vicious.
And what do you got to say about the T-Rex?
Oh, this is going to be my new co-host.
What's he got to say about it, though? Let's see, I knew he had to say something about it.
That's what I'm going to start doing here every time he talks.
Better get your tag partner over there.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to pull up the laser beam on me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where the buttons are, so I'm going to turn it away.
It's functional.
It's called technology.
I have kids. He loves Toy Story.
And we're going to play with toys.
And we're still kids.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a live talk in, so we go in there. There's a whole mess of toys in there.
Oh, yeah.
Don't
Don't get it going. We'll go over here and go play with all the toys. Yeah.
Especially if they talk or
Oh,
make
yeah.
noise.
We have a blast.
Hey, bigger boys, bigger toys. That's
Why do you
all
think we get the best ratings? Because we're all like talk show hosts that'll play with toys.
That's right.
That's right.
So yeah.
Remember that.
And now, we've talked about.
He's choking.
Yeah, he does sound like he's choking.
He
Down.
is.
I guess he ate something bad. Yeah, that's him when he wakes up in the morning.
How dare you open that door? My eyeballs could have been sucked from their
Hey,
sockets.
so we talked about where you was. Okay. We talked about where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about how you are now. But there's more to the story. There's always more to the story.
Oh, about now?
Yeah, about now.
Oh, well, I'm clean and sober, so, I mean, that's a plus right there. I'm back in the business, and I'm going to have to do this, put up to the camera.
Go ahead.
I'm also a promoter of new wrestling promotion, LCCW. So,
There you
go,
go.
my brother.
yep, here, go ahead, take some stickers. Take some
Stickers,
stickers.
And
They go
Thumper
from-
Chapman still owns the CFWE.
He does. He does. And once the show starts running, I might have to step in the ring a time or two.
And Thumper's always been, I try to be neutral with federations until they make me mad.
Don't make him mad.
And then we just put on a show.
Yeah, then I just go put a show, shut you down. Yeah, we've done a few shows in the past where promoters made me mad, and I'd always wait till they go through and mortgage their house. And I know you've seen me do this a few times. And I'd wait until they get to $10,000 to $20,000 mortgage. They go put the big show on. Then I'd go put a show on right next to them,
Across the street or next to them.
and they
Free.
lose their house a week later.
And we just put, and they be charging whatever they charge, and we just
Oh,
say,
yeah.
hey, free show.
Free show, and I
So,
use their guys.
Most of the time, the wrestlers would come from their wrestling and come over to ours and wrestle.
So yeah, and I'm not a bad guy. Anybody in the wrestling will tell you I'm a very nice guy. Just don't make me mad.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's the key. Don't make me mad because I'm still Thumper Chapman, just like he's still Mr. Dirty.
Well, and the thing is, there's still too many promotions out there. They're all worried about themselves.
Yeah,
it's
and they
like-
don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, guys. If y'all actually work with each other,
Right.
the indie circuit will rise back to what it
Oh,
was
yeah.
before.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's the problem,
Now, I remember we could go off and do a show, and we would pull 3,000 or 4,000 people.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't nothing.
Yeah.
And I go to these shows and they see 25, 50 people. They're like, oh, wow, we had a big crowd. And I'm like, you didn't
Where?
have nobody here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did one show, and I love being Mr. Dirty. Let me tell you
What are
something.
you talking about when you knocked the kid unconscious?
Yeah. That was the same show I was walking around. Kids were
It took
throwing
me-
rocks. Kids were throwing rocks at me.
It took me 8 smelling salts trying to get that guy awake, and I still wound up sending him to the hospital.
I hit him so hard he had a seizure.
You know what that tells you, Scotty? Don't jump in front of it.
Hey, if you can't run with a big dog, stay on the porch.
But crybaby Scotty loved it. He was the one who took that hit today. And
I don't know why. It was just a brick in a briefcase.
yeah, I mean, it's not like I ain't
That's
hit
it.
him with worse. I mean, I've hit him with a lot worse than that. Yeah. And he always popped back. Yeah. And Mr. Dirty says, I think I killed him. I was like, nobody's going to miss him anyway.
I just made sure I got rid of the brick out of the briefcase really quick. So
We love you, Scotty. Even
Yeah,
though
we
you're
love you.
overweight, we still love you. Yeah. Well, that's like, Kool-Aid. we'll go Kool-Aid. I love Kool-Aid to death. I always.
And we're getting off subject.
No, we're not. We'll get back on
Okay.
subject. Because now
This is a regular.
Because see, I think Kool-Aid works with you now, right?
Yes, he does.
Okay. And Kool-Aid back in the day, we'd see him, he'd walk up the ring, he'd be like, I'm like, is he going to die before he gets in the ring? And then I heard Kool-Aid lost all the weight.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then I watched
Kool-Aid
it.
left his wife.
Yeah, no, he's back with her now.
Oh my God. She's still feeding him the whole pizza and the big foot-long
I don't
stuff and
know.
stuff?
See, I don't know, I hadn't talked to him in a while. So yeah, so I watched him on a match that he did at Billy's show, and he was actually looked like he was working really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, man, did Billy take him in the ring and actually work with him some? You know, because it seemed like he's actually taking pride in what he does. You know, and well, that's like Billy. You know, I've noticed, you know, from the second time that I met Billy. Wait a minute. From the first time I met Billy
First thing goes
to the second time I met, because there was that gap there.
Yep.
When he come back to from then and now, there's been a big difference in Billy on his wrestling. You know, yeah, I mean, first time I seen him, he walked in and I'm sitting there thinking, oh man, that's rough. Ooh, that's rough. Ooh, mess up, bad shot. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at him and go, wow, I'm actually getting impressed. And anybody will tell you, I don't get impressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll see some things, I'll be like, okay, impressed now, yeah. And that's unusual because nobody in pro wrestling impresses me because I've never seen it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there, you know, and me and Billy will sit there talking on the phone sometimes. I'll tell him some crazy crap that we've done in the past. And he's like, you know what? I was just thinking about doing that. And I'm like the whole show of like 8 different cage matches. You know? And nobody said you could ever do it.
Or having barbed wire around the ring instead of ring ropes.
Oh yeah, or beating somebody with taking a bullwhip, wrapping barbed wire in it.
I would like to.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you, I will get crazy if I need to.
The most ouchy thing is what I call it, is we took a bullwhip and we actually took it apart and we actually laced barbed wire into the center of it. And we had a whip you match. And let me tell you something, until you're whipped with barbed wire in a bullwhip, you don't know what getting whipped is.
Now, I tell you another good match too, come think about it. You take that, tie that up, and they got to get up the ladder to get that bullwhip to whip you with it.
Oh yeah, kind of like we did over there at that one show when we had when we tied it up and they had to actually go get the ladder and then climb up. It had D.B. Branton, somebody else. Who else was in that match? There was like 4 people in that match.
I don't remember all.
But I mean, them guys, I mean, they fought to 1 inch. To
they were bleeding when they got done.
They were bloody. They were bloody.
I believe it.
And I'm sitting here looking at them. I'm sitting here, and I guess they figure I'm going to measure that blood that they pour, because whenever I tell them, I don't want a drop, I don't want a gallon, I want exactly an ounce of blood. I guess they have to measure it when it's coming out of them, because I get a perfect amount every time. So, I don't know how they do it. But I guess.
D.B. kind of messed up one time because he bled almost.
Well, yeah, about a gallon, yeah. But that was an accident. He even told me that was. He says, I didn't mean to hit my head, get hit so many times. I'm like, duck next time.
That's what it's called, duck, D.B.
Duck. But I remember back in the day when he'd take his head beatings in the concrete wall, and it's like he's going, okay, that's an ounce, that's 2 ounces, that's 3 ounces, yeah. But that's the thing, you know, and that's where I get back, you know, that's, guys like D.B. and Billy, you know, that's what we're missing in pro wrestling, you know. It's not about, you know, I mean, it is important to give the fans what they want, but there's a line of respect for each other that is missing anymore. Nowadays, just because you come in an $800 pair of tights, $1,000 pair of boots, you know, and you know you got an Italian suit and you look all pretty, don't make you a professional.
Yeah, I got a pair of tights I bought off eBay for $20 and a pair of boots that were used.
Yeah. I mean, I had to laugh at Billy one time, and it wasn't fun. Well, it was funny. But after I thought about it, it was kind of funny. And I don't loan my wrestling boots to very many people because the things are almost 20 years old.
Yeah, I know.
And I paid almost like $900 for them back in the day.
I wore them before.
Yeah, one time, yeah. And I said, Billy, you can borrow my boots. He's sitting there looking at me and he's going, thanks, but no thank. I'm saying like, wow, man, you know, I ain't got like nothing. I mean, you can borrow my boots. I don't really. And he comes back to me later. He said, well, Thumper, it wasn't that I didn't want to borrow them. It's just I got to thinking the H and the dollar signs, and I'm thinking, I can't replace those.
Well, yeah,
Especially the kind of match I was going to be in.
Oh,
that
yeah,
night.
yeah. Because these are patent leathers.
Yeah.
You don't find patent leather
No.
that much anymore. Yeah.
Oh, no worries.
three.
I mean, Thumper
Yeah.
threw me all over the place that
Oh,
night
yeah.
when I was
I used to
running
have fun
around.
beating him all over.
Oh, we used to beat each other up outside
Yeah,
the
oh,
ring.
yeah.
We were both managers at the time, so.
I hate sugar sand. Especially
Oh.
when it's late
Yeah.
I work in the hot sun.
Before we get back into his, I want to tell you about one of the worst experiences that Thumper and I had. We were out there and he was managing, you were managing, what's their name? The guys, the two cowboy looking dudes.
The bounty hunters?
Yeah. And was I managing them? I'm not sure which one.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Everything's kind of
we're on one side of the ring and he's on the other side of the ring, and we look at each other and then they're beating each other up on the outside. And man, we run at each other and we both gave each other a double clothesline and both landed in the sugar sand.
Let me
And
tell
we
you
hit
something.
hard.
That sand had been sitting in that in that sun for 14
Oh, it was like
hours.
it was like
Okay, if you've never landed
2
in
o'clock in the
sugar,
afternoon.
okay, understand. I have landed in rocks, pavement. I've landed in plywood, wood, sugar sand, sand spurs. You name it, I've landed in. For some particular day, this stuff was like acid. Okay, I've got my leather vest on, and I hit the ground, and I hear my flesh going from just burning.
Well, my face hit the ground, so I'm
And-
going.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh man, you know, my head hurts, my breath, I've got the breath knocked out of me, and I'm sitting there going, why does my back feel like an egg frying? I'm sitting there going, ow. So I stagger up, and I'm getting up there, and I'm looking at somebody else like, man, did I like land on coals or something? My whole back was beat red from where I landed on that sand. We were literally burned.
We were beating each other so bad outside the ring that actually they stopped watching the wrestlers and started
watching the
beating the
wrestlers.
crap out of each other.
And you know, and I'm sitting here going, okay, I know we're brothers, and we're going to get pretty nasty with each other. You know? And it even got worse in the ring. Yeah, remember that one-arm match that we
Yeah,
did?
we did a one-arm match.
Yeah, one-arm match.
One-arm blindfold match.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be a comedy match. It didn't quite turn out like that.
No, we both about knocked each other out.
Yeah, pretty much. You know,
Which is funny.
yeah, oh yeah, which it was funny. And that's what it was. It was that time that, you know, when you had like 5 minutes of dead space, and I didn't want the 5 minutes. I looked at Mr. Dirty and said, you know what? We're not battling. We're not
Let's do
battling.
a one-arm blindfold
Let's
match.
just do some crazy one-arm blind match, you know.
I'm
Where
glad
you
we didn't
tie
have
one
weapons
arm,
in the ring.
and
Believe
and you're walking around, you're trying to find each other. And I didn't tell him, but I could actually still.
Well, I couldn't see, but I popped him a good one upside the
So
head.
every time they turn around, I look for him. I said, "Oh, there he is!" I hit him one time. Hit him one time. Hit him, and I'd watch him stagger backwards. I'm like, "Okay, I guess I got to take a couple. So I'd stand there, kind of following him all over the place. You know, so-
Well, what he ain't telling you what I did, I was sitting there listening, so I could hear him walking around. I waited till I heard the steps right, and I go, ah! right between eyes.
Kids loved it though. I mean, the
Oh
kids
yeah,
really
kids
did.
loved it.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
But I guess we're getting close to out of time, are we? Okay.
So
And
let's ask a few quick questions.
yeah, ask a couple because I know you.
So where do you? I mean, we've discussed the whole drug thing, the prison thing now. So, Billy, where do you protect yourself? I mean, we know you've got your federation and everything like that. You're a promoter. Where do you see yourself in the next few years?
Hopefully, right where we're sitting now with my wife and kids being millionaires.
Okay, where do you see yourself in?
I've almost been
wrestling.
there. It ain't no better.
Yes. Where do you see yourself in indie wrestling in projection, say in the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years?
Honestly, and I don't mean no disrespect to CFWE,
Right.
my goal is I would love it if we could become the #1 indie show in the state.
And there's no offense taken by that. I'm sure
Oh, no,
Thumper
no.
would say.
No,
something.
we've been there.
Yeah, better than that.
Yeah, when you and I'll give you advice, and Mr. Dirty will too. When you fill that footprint, everybody comes after you.
Don't eat the yellow stove, that's good advice.
Yeah, what about it, Mr. Dirty?
Yeah.
Everybody comes after you.
Well, I already got one promotion
Well,
after me. I won't mention their name.
Once you get there, it's like this. Every promoter and his brother are after you to try to
Well,
pull you down and become
I'm
number
going
one.
to say this much. I don't know who's after you. But I want to tell you, jabroni, something. Okay. You mess with Billy, you got Thumper behind you, you got CFWE.
And Mr. Dirty.
And Mr. Dirty, and you don't want none of me. Because I will walk over and I will shut you down. And I am not afraid of nobody. You can ask anybody in this business, they'll tell you there's one man that is not afraid of nobody, and that's me. So, you want to play games? I have no problems to reactivate. I can activate anytime I want to. I just choose to drag my butt. Yeah, because I've got my music career, I've got my wrestling, I've got my recording with my music, I've got my live talk, and you definitely don't want to mess with us. So,
All right. So in closing, we'd like to remind you again that the views that are displayed here on CFWE are not necessarily the views of CFWE. We definitely appreciate you being here with us this afternoon. This is your host, Thumper
and
Chapman.
we're going to get Billy's wife on next time.
And I am Mr. Dirty, and this is Billy
McCloud.
McCloud. There you go.
I thought it was McLean, but we'll call him McLean.
McLean.
No, that's
fine.
Kason.
And,
okay.
Billy,
Good man.
we definitely appreciate you being here with us today and opening up your things in your life and everything. It's a wonderful thing that you've done. And until next week on CFW Live Talk, we'll see you later.
God bless, Godspeed. Y'all pray for us, we'll pray for you. Y'all have a good night.
Peace.
See y'all later.